Welcome back to my darkroom. Today we're going to make that exhibition quality final print. Welcome to the Naked Photographer, where I'll be exposing myself. No, I won't. That sounded better in my head. So before we actually dig into making that print, let me go over what's going on here. Everything is pretty much set up the same as we did with the contact sheet. I have my tray of developer. I'm using Kodak Dectol mixed 1 to 2 parts water. I've got my indicator stop bath. It's yellow now. Under the safe light it'll look clear, and as it goes bad it'll start getting dark, so let me know if I'm ready to change it. And here I have a soft working Kodak fixer, not a rapid fixer. We're going to use this as a 2 bath solution, so I've got one here I'm going to use for 5 minutes, and then when I'm ready to finish the print up, if I'm done for the day, I'll use a second fresh fixer for another 5 minutes. And then finally I've got a tray of running water. Once we're done with that, we're going to swap these up and replace them with a second fixer, a fixer remover, and then possibly a toner. I like to use selenium. So we'll get to all that and then we'll do a final wash. Alright, I've got my negative right here ready to go. I am going to be using a 4x5 inch negative. Just follow the same directions no matter what size negative you're using. I just happen to have a shot that I want to print in that size. It's in the sleeve, so let's take it out. First thing we want to do is make sure it's clean. To do that, I'm going to use an Ilford anti-static cloth. You can use canned or compressed air. You can use a little negative cleaning brush. I'm just going to gently clean this off. If you have any stubborn fingerprints, you might want to use an actual film cleaner, such as PEC 12. It works really well. Just make sure all the dust is off. Any dust on the negative will block the light, therefore, whatever combination word you want to use. It will create a white spot on your print, which you'll have to deal with later. So the cleaner you have it now, the less spotting you'll do in the end. Let's see. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so I want to put this in my negative carrier. I've got little marks. You want to have this emulsion side down, and your lens is going to reverse the image, not like a mirror, but rather rotated. So whatever part is the top of your image, you'll want to put down. So this is the top of my image, it's a horizontal, and this is the bottom of my image. So I'm going to put this closest to me. This is the emulsion side, so it's going to point downward. Just line that up. Got these little marks, or little tabs to keep me lined up. Make sure it's pushed up against them. There we go. Close that. Give it a final dust check. I'm just looking obliquely from the light. Now you may be wondering, why the heck do I have such a big negative carrier? Isn't the negative big enough? This is an 8x10 and larger. So it's a step down negative carrier. Alright, I'm going to put this in. Let's turn out the lights. What I have set up here is a smaller easel. I have it setting on top of a large easel. Don't worry about that. I'm just trying to keep this one set up where I already have something else. This is going to take an 8x10 piece of paper, but I've got the image with about a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Before I get everything started, I want to make sure I have what I need. That is a set of Ilford multigrade filters so I can change my contrast, a grain focuser so I can make sure everything is in focus. Got my paper. I'm still using the same Ilford warm tone fiber based paper, and I've got a couple pieces of thick craft foam for dodging and burning. Everything else I should be ready to go. So let's turn the enlarger on and check our focus and sizing. Alright, I can already see this is too big. I need it just in this area, unless I was going to crop a small portion, which I'm not going to do. So, resize this and get it in focus. Keep going. A little more. There we go. I'm going to reposition this as needed. Just cutting off a little more than I want. So let's just keep going. There we go. That's about perfect. I am just overlapping the black border, and that should make sure that I've got clean, crisp edges. Just going to check my focus. This grain focuser, you just put it right in the middle, and focus enlarger. What you're looking for is the actual grain of the film as sharp as can be. That's it right there. Let's lock that down. Make sure I still got my crisp borders. Look that a little bit. Okay, I'm ready to go. Turn that off. And just like before, I'm going to do test strips of 2 seconds each. We'll see how that goes. Let me get my multigrade filter out. You know what, I'm going to double check my aperture. There. It's a little bright. So you always want to start, no matter what, start with a 2 filter. That's going to give you the amount of contrast that's in the film. Use that as your baseline. We can change it as needed. Depending on what kind of filter you have, you may put it above the negative or below the lens. These are okay below the lens, especially with the 8x10 print. Larger, I may choose a filter above. If you're using a color head like I am, you can actually use the color filtration for your contrast. We'll cover that in another lesson. So I want to take out a piece of paper. I need to cut it into strips. I'm going to cut it into thirds. This is just to conserve paper so we don't waste all of it. I've only got a few sheets left. And the weather's kind of nasty outside. I really don't want to go to the store and pick some more up. Just across town. Took me a couple hours. Okay. So I'm going to take this strip. Now my particular image, it doesn't matter where I put it really, but on yours, you want to make sure it crosses the most important shadow and highlight values. Mine's about even, so it doesn't really make much difference. So I'm going to expose this in increments of 2 seconds. Number 2 filter. And then put it under the lens. Go down, with another. Now I do not have a filter holder under the lens. You may. If you do, I recommend you use it. Make your life easier. An alternative that I have to holding this is to tape it to the enlarger, which I may do. Depends on how complex this is. Alright, let's go to develop it. Alright, I'm going to slip this in and set my timer for 2 minutes. Remember, if you're using RC paper or a different developer, check and see what your development time is. I'm just going to rock this back and forth and see if our image comes up. There we go. Okay, I've got just a few seconds left. With 5 seconds left, I'm going to drain this, put it in the stop bath for 30 seconds. Okay, we'll drain that and put it in the fixer for 2 minutes. This has been in for 2 minutes. Let's put in the water. I don't have the water running at the moment, just so it's not extremely loud. Let's see what this looks like. So we'll put it on the board, squeegee it, the excess water off. I'm going to turn on my inspection light. And what I'm looking for is just a good density. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 seconds. With this particular image, 4 is definitely too light. This is, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 seconds is way too dark. I'm thinking somewhere between 6 and 8. Might do 7. No. 8 might be a little too dark. Looking at the shadow areas, the highlights are a little dull. I do have little pops of white. It's chalk on a chalkboard. 6 is a little on the dull side. And blacks don't really have a whole lot of depth to them. I'll probably increase the contrast as well. But at this point, I think it'll be best to make a strip of, let's see, let me do a strip at 8 seconds and we'll see what that looks like. I think it's going to be a little too dark. We'll give it a shot. Okay, I'm going to set my timer to, I'm going to do 7. I don't feel confident about 8. I feel 8's just a little too dark. So let's get another strip out. This is a very subjective image. So you can make it dark, I can make it light. As just go by what feels right. Let's turn this on. Paper in. And the number 2 filter. 7 seconds. Okay. Alright. Let's process it. It's rinsed for a little bit. Turn on my inspection light. And let's squeegee that off. See what we've got. That looks pretty good, actually. So I split the difference between the 6-second and 8-second mark. It's fairly close to the 8, just a little lighter, but I've got a nice bright white on my chalk. I'm getting a little bit of a dark tone here. That's pretty good. I gotta get the glare off it. I think though, so while the density is good, so I feel like my time is good. However, I feel like the separation of midtones can be just a little punchier, a little snappier. So I am actually going to up the contrast to a 3 filter. And because I'm using Ilford paper and Ilford filters, I don't need to change my exposure time when going from a 2 to a 3. Just check the instructions on that. All right, so 7 seconds, good time. But let's put the 2 filter away and try it again with a 3 filter. See what that does. So I'm going to put the 2 filter away. Get the 3 filter out. And this is going to increase the contrast in the image. So I've got one more strip. I can cut more if I need to. We're going to see if we can get this done without having to make more test strips. And let's check this. So timer for 7 seconds. Let's turn the enlarger on. And we'll expose. Okay, let's process. Okay, 2 more minutes. Now, I will admit, I don't normally stand here in complete silence as I make my prints. Normally, I will have the water running over there. I will have an exhaust fan on to get fresh air into the darkroom as I work. And I will have a stereo on so I can listen to some music while I do this. But because we're trying to record this for you guys, I've got all that stuff turned off so I don't drive you insane and you can hear me. Alright, 30 seconds on the stop bath. Got to make your work environment comfortable. If you don't like working in there, you're not going to do it a lot. So get that stereo, get that fan, get your air conditioner, whatever you need. Alright, we'll give that a minute just to fix enough to be safe. Let's see how that turned out. Okay, 5 seconds left. And in the water. Turn my inspection light. Let's see how this looks. Okay, I can already tell that's too much. So, looking at the difference in the 2 filter, get the water off of that one, and the 3 filter, the 3 filter did punch up the contrast, but a little too much. It got almost completely black down here, which is a little too much. It got dark overall. So I think 2.5 is going to be the best option. So I'm going to make, at this point, a full print with a 2.5 so that I can see where I might need to dodge and burn. Let's put away the 3 filter, get the 2.5 out. 3 was just too strong a contrast. At least from my taste. You do whatever you want. You'll develop your own taste after you make quite a number of prints. I don't want a chalk and soot sort of look. I want some delicacy in there. But I do want my my highlights and mid-tones mostly to separate a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put the whole sheet 8x10 in there. And we are going to expose the entire thing. 2.5 filter, 7 seconds. let's see how this turned out. And let's take a look. Turn that on. Now I didn't really go over the inspection light because I didn't use it during the contact sheet. The inspection light is there to give you an approximation of what the exhibition space is going to be lit like. So this is actually a gallery quality bulb and just a clamp light above my sink. It is just supposed to give me kind of an idea of what this is going to look like on the wall when it's on presentation. Right, that actually looks pretty good. It is quite contrasty compared to compared to my original right there with the 2 filter, but I actually like that. It's pretty dark down here, very light over here where the chalk is at its thickest. Let's see. That looks pretty good, actually. I think all I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this one, so I'll fix it the remainder of the 5 minutes. But I think I'm going to make one more. That bottom corner is awful dark. So I'm going to make one more. I'm going to lighten this corner up about 10%, and I'm going to darken this corner, just a little bit of it right here, about 10%. The rest of it, however, I'm going to leave alone. So 7 seconds, 2.5 filter, 10% less time, 10% less time. That means just a little less than 1 second. So a little less than a second shorter time here, a little less than a second more time here. So let's finish fixing this for the 5 minutes. So I'm going to put it back in the fixer and give it that full 5-minute time. So 4 more minutes on that. And once this is done fixing for 4 minutes, it'll go in the running water and we'll get the majority of the fixer off the surface. And it can just sit there and wait. The way that I like to think about this, in terms of where do we go from here, I'm going to go ahead and, because I'm keeping this, I'm going to make the other print and get it all the way to the running water as well. Then I'm going to take both of them and do the final fixing, toning, and fixer remover after that. So think of it kind of like the airport. Everybody is going to arrive at the airport at a different time. You don't generally carpool with a bunch of other people to get to the airport. So we're going to get all the way to the tray with all of my prints that I'm ready to do for the session. Then everybody gets on the same plane together. And I'm going to take all those finished prints all at once and do my other fixing, my selenium toner, my fixer remover, hypoclear, and then my final wash. All of them at once. It's a little bit more economical in time. And there's absolutely no harm in leaving this in the running water while I wait for the other print to come along. Pro tip. I'm ready to make the final exposure. So timer set for 7 seconds, got my 2.5 filter. This time I'm going to use the craft foam, and I'm going to move the shadow of that foam over that corner of the print and block for, I said 10%, that's 0.7 seconds. So I'm just going to count 1/1000 and should be close enough. Then I'm going to burn this opposite corner about the same amount. So I'll show you how I do that. So first things first, get the exposure going. Gotta kind of do this two-handed because I didn't bring any tape up for my filter. So 1/1000. And now a little bit more time on the other corner. 1/1000. That's gonna go fast. Or just a little bit more bump. Alright. Notice I still use the filter for both. Okay. Turn that off. And let's see how this turns out. Now I went ahead and fixed this for the full 5 minutes. Let's see what this looks like. Alright. Yeah, I got just a little bit of that texture back where it tried to go full black. This, I now have the chalk separating from the white border. It was just a little too bright, a little too intense at the beginning. And that's it. Everything else is I'm actually pretty pleased with. So I'm going to go with this. It's a little bit darker, moodier print than what I've gone for in the past, but I like where this is going. So we're going to put this in the water for 5 minutes. Let's turn that on. Now, this is not my final wash. I used the Kodak tray siphon to wash my contact sheet because I was only had one piece of paper, and it can efficiently change the water out. It sucks water out as it pumps new water in. But since I've got multiple prints, and these are for exhibition, where I really want them to last a while, I am not going to wash in this. So while this rinses for a few minutes, I'm going to dump out the rest of my trays because I am done printing today, and I'm going to put in the next batch to finish up the archival processing. Everything set up here is a little bit different. So while that was rinsing, I moved my fixer tray all the way down to the other end where my developer was, got rid of the old fixer, and put fresh in the same tray. You'll notice I have two different trays now. This one is selenium toner. I mix it 1 part toner to 9 parts water. There's different dilutions you can use for different effects, and different papers react in different ways. Some people will tell you that it's 1 part toner to 20 parts water for archival with the minimal amount of color change. Some will say 1 part to 40 parts water. You can do as strong as 1 part to 3 parts water, depending on the strength and the paper. You'll get a different color change and a different amount of intensity change. I'm using 1 part to 9 and Ilford warm tone paper. We'll see. That's what I've used before. It gave me a little bit of a tone change, but enough selenium to actually impart archival standards. Here I've just got some hypo clear or fixer remover, whatever you want to call it. And then finally a archival print washer. I moved my tray of water down here so that I can just transfer into the fixer. So since I'm using the Kodak 2-bath method with the traditional fixer rather than the rapid fixer, I'm going to put it in here, my 2 prints, for 5 minutes. And so I am going to drain these for a few seconds, put them in together, and set it for 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is now just shuffle through them. I like to flip them up as I go and then flip them back. What this does Of course, the shuffling is just for the agitation. If you rock, they tend to stick together and you may not actually get good circulation around them. So shuffling will do that. The reason why I flip over is because, one, it eliminates the monotony. You know, gotta do what you can for 5 minutes. The other is it lets me know when I've gone through the entire stack. So if I'm doing a large amount of prints, because I can put as many as 12 prints into that print washer. So if I'm doing a stack of 12 prints, it lets me know when I've actually shuffled through the entire stack one time. So we're just going to do this 5 minutes and then move on. So I got about 15 seconds left. When I have 5 seconds, I'll drain them and put them in the selenium toner. There we go. In the toner, you kind of need to figure out how long you need to tone them for. I'm actually only going to do about 5 minutes. The longer you tone, the more change you get as well. Same agitation method. Now this will show you if you have fixed properly. You will get stains through your print if it is not properly fixed. They tend to form dark brown stains where the selenium is reacting with the unfixed portion of the image. So we'll just go through this 5 minutes. About 15 seconds left. I will drain again, last 5 seconds, and put in the fixer remover. And again, same shuffling routine. I can already see that this gave a much warmer, almost a purplish tone, slight purplish tone to the print compared to an untoned. Let me give you an example. See if you can see this. So there's my test strip. And here's my final print. It definitely cooled it down. The warm tone paper tends to have a little bit of a green color to it, and this with the fixer remover cooled it down significantly. It's got more of a, not really purple, maybe a little bit more neutral, definitely less green. Like I said, every paper reacts a little different. Every dilution will give a different result. So find the combination that works best for you. That just takes testing. Make the same print multiple times and try different toner dilutions and times until you find the right one for you. Alright, this is going to be for another 5 minutes. It's been about 4 already, so, or 1 minute, so we'll do 4 more. About 20 seconds left. I've already got my print washer full. Just going to get it running. The fixer remover gets rid of the bulk of the fixer in the paper so that you can have a shortened wash. You'll still need a test. You can get a residual fixer test if you feel like you need to. I, however, am just going to play it safe and wash this for a full hour. I know that's a little bit of a long time, but for me, it's better safe than sorry. So we'll put that in there, set the timer for 1 hour, and come back and see how it does. So an hour has gone by. My kid's hungry, wants some lunch. So we're going to be all done with this. Not wearing gloves anymore. I don't want to contaminate my clean prints. From here, all we're going to do is just squeegee the excess water off. I actually like to use just the divider because it's clean. I know it's clean because it's been washing for an hour. And I'm going to use my clean archival squeegee. I'm just going to take the surface water off, flip it over, do the same. I'll actually do it again on the front, just get the excess water. So that is making a print. This is going to go on my drying screen, and we will come back next time and see about making some dodging and burning tools so that you can make your fine print exactly how you want. So we'll talk about different shapes, different ways of making them, different materials to make them out of, and so forth. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate you watching me make a print. I know it's not as fun as doing it yourself. So get in the darkroom, start making some prints. I appreciate your time, and please comment, like, and subscribe to The Naked Photographer.